Hello and welcome back to Click English, everyone. This is part 3 of analyzing line charts. So I've already covered in my previous two videos on what are the things one should keep in mind when analyzing a line chart and how to approach a line chart. So I'm not going to go over all the previous details. In this video, we are just going to jump straight into the question. So before we do that, I would ask you to just have a look at the line graph and pause the video and try to figure out how you would approach this question, how you would write the details and present the details in the main body paragraph. So before we discuss it, I'd suggest you just pause the video and have a go at it on your own. Alright, so I hope that you'd pause the video and that you were able to have a look at the question. So let's now try to see what it is about. This question is of a line chart or a line graph which shows thefts per 1,000 vehicles in 4 countries between 1990 and 1999. Right? So there are 4 countries: Great Britain, Sweden, France, and Canada, and the line chart is showing car theft 1990 and 1999. So straight away we can see that car theft in Great Britain was quite high, much higher than the other 3 countries. So that's obviously one of the key features which you need to highlight. Then we can see that this one, Sweden, starts off at around this figure but has increased quite significantly or considerably over the course of 9 years. So car theft in Sweden has gone up, right? In France, on the other hand, it has gone down. And when it comes to Canada, Canada has clearly decreased. After decreasing, it has remained stable. And well, Great Britain, well, it sort of fluctuated. It was all over the place, right? So it went up, went down, then came back up, and then decreased again. Alright, so these were the trends. Yeah. Now, how to present them? Well, so I would suggest that you mention Great Britain in a different paragraph as compared to these 3, because not only car theft in Great Britain was the highest, but also it has a different trend. It fluctuated, right? So you mention Great Britain in a different paragraph, and then you can mention Sweden, France, and Canada. You can say that for Sweden it just went straight up. So Sweden increased quite considerably. However, France and Canada, France and Canada decreased. And that's all you need to do here in this case. So in all 4 countries you have to mention the start figures and the end figures. That's all you need to mention. And Great Britain, well, it fluctuated, and you can mention the start and the end figures and maybe one of the peaks, right? And that's how you will do it. So you can say that car theft in Great Britain was much higher than the other 3 countries. In 1990, around about approximately 18,000 vehicles were stolen, and afterward this trend fluctuated, and this trend reached its peak in 1996, where almost about 20,000 vehicles were stolen. And by the year 1999, this figure came down a bit to almost 18,000, right? Or maybe a bit lower. Yeah, so almost about 17,000, right? So you can say that Sweden experienced an upward trajectory in car theft. In the beginning, in 1990, around about let's say 8,000 cars were stolen, and this figure continued to increase, culminating at just under 15,000, right? And then you can give similar sort of language to France and Canada. So not very difficult. All you need to do is all you need to make sure is that you mention the key features and everything is clear and easy to understand. That's something which is very important. Okay, moving on to the next question. I would again ask you to pause your video. So here this is a multiple line chart question, as you can see here, right? So this question is about a line graph which shows visits to and from UK from 1979 and 1999. So the first line chart shows visits abroad by UK residents and visits to the UK by overseas residents. So this is visits abroad by UK residents, and you can see that well, they almost started at a similar figure, but what it shows here is that visits from residents of UK increased quite significantly as compared to visits to the UK by overseas residents. And then the second chart is a bar graph, but it's also quite straightforward and nothing too complex. This bar chart shows most popular countries visited by the UK residents in 1999. So which countries did the people of UK visited the most? This is the what is being shown in this bar chart, and we can see that France was the most popular destination, closely followed by Spain. Then the least popular destinations were USA, Greece, and Turkey, respectively. And that's all you need to do. So you will just start off by saying that initially there was not much in 1979 there wasn't much difference between visits abroad by UK residents and people coming to visit the UK. However, over the course of years this difference increased, and as we can see that both figures started around about 10 million, approximately 10 million. However, visits abroad by UK residents surged, so you can use the word surged here, surged significantly, and it surpassed about 50 million, right? While the number of overseas residents gradually increased. So this also increased, so we will use the word gradually increased for this, right? Because it's not because it is slowly increasing, so it gradually increased and reached just under 30 million, right? And then you can mention the bar chart. So the most popular destination was France at just over 10 million, and closely followed by Spain, which was just under 10 million, and then the least popular destinations were these three. And that's about it. That's all you need to write in this question. Okay, so this one, let's have a look at the next question. So this is a line graph which shows information from 2008 report about energy consumption in USA with projections from 1980 until 2030. All right, so it's going all the way into future. So once again, pause the video and just have a look at the question and see how you will present your answer for this. Okay, so we can clearly see petrol and oil, coal and natural gas, the consumption of these is so much higher than as compared to nuclear, solar, wind and hydropower. So you can write this in paragraph and this in another paragraph. Okay, so we can clearly see that petrol consumption, it started around about in 1980 was about 35 million or quadrillion units, right? So 35 quadrillion units, and this figure reached about 40 quadrillion units in 2020 and is projected to increase and go all the way up to almost about 50 quadrillion units. So we can clearly see that the consumption of petroleum and oil increased. So did the consumption of coal. This also gradually has increased from 15 all the way and is projected to increase to almost 30. So that's double, right? And natural gas, well, it was around 20 quadrillion units. It declined a bit between the years 1980, after 1980 till 1995, after which it started increasing, reached about 25 quadrillion unit mark around 2015, and is projected to remain stable at the same figure in 2030. So when it comes to nuclear, solar, wind and hydropower, uh, the consumption of these three sources is much less as compared to these non-renewable sources. So these are all renewable sources, and you can use this term for them. You can clearly see that they have not increased much. In fact, there was a very slight increase from 1980 till 2020, and it's not really projected to increase much. So all you need to do is just identify and mention the trends here, and just mention the starting figure and the ending figure, and you're good to go. Right? And that's about it. So I'll see you again in a few days again with more questions to analyze. Till then, stay tuned and keep practicing. Bye bye.